Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi, where nurses take control, break barriers, and build a future of financial freedom and career success. Whether you're burned out, ready to level up, or looking for the blueprint to thrive, you're in the right place. It's time to lead, grow, and win because your future starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Chichi.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another empowering episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi, the show where nurses and healthcare professionals reclaim their peace, power, and financial future. Whether you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or ready to take bold steps forward, this space is for you. Let's grow, lead, and thrive. So like, share, and subscribe to Take Charge with Dr. Chi Chi so you'll be notified when future episodes are released. So the topic or the title for this episode will be When Racism, Bias, and Bullying Lead to Burnout, Reclaiming Your Worth and Taking Charge Again. I've talked to some nurses and most of them, or some of them told me that it wasn't the work itself that led to their burnout, but what led to their burnout was the subtle racism and bias and bullying they felt at work. So they wanted me to talk about it. So I have the honor of um, discussing this so that anyone out there that is having the same experience will know how to handle it. So today we're going to talk about something many of us face but seldom address. So how racism, bias, and workplace bullying can lead to burnout, leaving you questioning your worth, competency, and purpose. We're talking about bullying, bias, racism at work. And while I was discussing step 5, and I said something about surrounding yourself with positive, faith-filled people who encourage you because healing thrives in connection. I have someone that is so dear to me, and she happens to be one of those people that I surround myself with that supports me. And she has been on the show. She was actually on episode 2 of the show. And I have the honor of introducing Dr. Veritta Henderson, a dedicated, experienced, doctoral prepared nurse. She's a nurse leader and she has been a director of women's services, a labor and delivery manager, perinatal practice specialist. She's taught in academia, worked as a perinatal nurse, a mother baby, and labor and delivery units, and also in public health. So Dr. Henderson has been active in the Association of Women Health, Obstetric and Neonatal Nursing, A1. So as a director of the board, that's what she served as in A1. And Dr. Henderson has a master's and PhD in nursing with focus on nursing education. And she's also a nurse executive consultant. So Dr. Henderson also has researched on the topic perinatal nurse residency and discovered some surprising findings about bullying at the workplace and has experienced this firsthand too. So I have the honor of welcoming Dr. Veritta Henderson to the show once again. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chichi. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me again.
Thank you. I'm always excited when I see you because you always bring this wonderful touch to every discussion, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So, I talked about your research and your findings about bullying at the workplace. And I want to ask what actually inspired you to research workplace bullying among nurses, and what key findings stood out from your study?
Yes, absolutely. Let me just say that I did not set out to research that. I set
Mm.
out to research something totally different, but I found that as a surprise
Oh my
founding.
goodness.
I
Wow.
I really, as a preceptor for many years and a support and an advocate for new nurses and nurses that transferred to my field, I'm the one who will pour out everything in this brain to put it in theirs willingly. And so my research was actually on the perinatal nurses'
Mhm.
confidence and how they gain that confidence from their preceptors. But in interviewing many nurses, new nurses, and nurses that had transferred and were residents, the things that they told me were surprising and shocking.
Wow.
And I don't, I think I may have, I think we all knew that these things could be possible, but they put it into such profound words. And those words were such as this: they were being um, surrounded by people that were incivil to them,
Wow.
people that were they would do things like this. I'll give you some really interesting statements. They would come to work and they would look at the roster
Good.
of
Mhm.
on shift and they would say, I know that I can't talk to this one because they're not going to help me, or this one will be mean, or
Wow.
this one will be condescending, or this one will gossip, or
Mm.
and such, those types of things. And I have to be as a researcher, you have to be there and really not show your surprise. But inside, I was surprised and I was a little upset that
Mm.
was occurring to people that were new nurses, our profession. But I will tell you that it has not gone away. That research was done when I was completing, my first research, and today the literature is riddled with these types of articles. And so, I think we're doing better in what calling it out, naming it, but it's still a little bit disconcerting that it's still happening. But that is how that surprise came to me through my research. And at the time, we were trying to figure out, me and my research committee, were trying to find out exactly why would this be happening. There's still so much research to be done about it, um, but we want to know why people do.
What
Um,
they do that?
yeah, why they bully, why they are uncivil to each other. Why is it? And it was not just vertical bullying and incivility, which is, somebody who's on a
Hi.
higher, yes, level of role, but also lateral, meaning
Wow.
I'm gonna bully my fellow nurse.
Or,
So
forming cliques too, and then bullying the next person.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, you know, being divisive and letting someone join your group or your crowd or your group that's at work that night, but just isolating them. Those types of things were going on, and I discovered that through what the nurses were brave enough to tell me. And then it's still happening today in a lot of ways.
You're talking about residency nurses, but even people, like you just said, people that have been there for a long time. And sometimes it's surprising that the leadership themselves click with some of these people that are on the floor. And because some of the nurses that might be working with the other nurses on the floor feel like they have management on their side or leadership on their side. They bully the other people.
Absolutely, Chichi.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I left that research, when I finished that research, I left with the commitment that I was going to go and do something about that. Because if
Mhm.
we don't, we know
Then
that
it continues. Yeah.
it continues and it flourishes, and we can never put a stop to it. And so I did, take that to leadership. And at first, I think it was a little bit of denial, probably a little bit of shock. But I would take no for an answer. We must be on the right side of this. We have to act. We cannot bury our head in the sand. We're going to have to do something about it. And so we did make that very clear. And we didn't want to call anyone out, name anyone, because they feared that they, were going to have retaliation against them. But if you're a good researcher, you're going to protect
Yeah.
your, right?
Yeah.
So I was very careful to make sure that the way that we, broached the subject and brought that out, was protection, but also very decided, very decisive as well to say we will not tolerate it. This is what we're seeing, and we expect everyone to be more inclusive, helpful, sometimes leadership feels like everything is going, 100%, but that is not usually the truth. There's some culture that's there that sometimes you may not know about.
The example I gave you is, I'm talking about my experience. I mean, sometimes it's very surprising that even people in leadership will have the people that they're leading have cliques and be friends with them, and then decide on someone on the team that they're gonna bully or intimidate. I experienced that firsthand. I mean, it was so going to work to me was like I always say, I feel like I'm going to a war front, but it's not just that. Driving to work made me so sad. I felt I shouldn't be there. But when you pray about stuff, you still get up and you go. And then you go there, you try to be nice, but people are not nice. You do everything that you have to do. Like the one that touches me is like you be in a meeting and you say something, everybody will act like you didn't even say anything, and someone will repeat exactly what you said, and they're gonna acknowledge what you already said, and nobody talked about it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Or organize a project, won't get you involved in the project, you know. I
Yes,
mean, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm glad we're talking about it. The goal for this show is create this awareness. We talk about burnout and we're talking about patient load and all that stuff that is too much and stuff like that. But most of the time is the kind of um, attitude we get when we go to work from co-workers, from leadership, from colleagues at work, bias, bullying, and all those stuff that could even cause the burnout itself. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
in your experience, how does bullying directly affect nurses' productivity, teamwork, and the quality of patient care?
It absolutely affects all three. For
Mm,
productivity, when people are happy, when they feel supported, when
mhm.
they feel that they are included, they're going to take care of each other and they're going to take care of the patients.
That's
It's
right.
definitely going to affect productivity. But if you have someone who comes to work and they're afraid, they're reserved, they won't ask questions, they're not going to be able to. They won't have to. They don't know what they don't know sometimes. And so they will definitely not, be the best nurse that they can be. And that's incumbent upon us to be sure that we can grow any nurse at any point of her career to the next level, wherever that is. New nurse, experienced nurse, nurse changing into a different field, whatever it is. So it definitely affects their productivity. What were the other two, Chi? Productivity and
So productivity, teamwork, and the
teamwork.
quality of patient care.
Teamwork. Now, I've got something special to say about teamwork.
You know
Teamwork.
how they say teamwork makes the dream work.
And
But if you're being bullied, how can you be in a team?
I will tell you that I have seen it in a very another surprising way, where some of the nurses who are actually the bullies will not be a team player. They will let
Um,
the new person fail
they
because
set you up for failure.
set you up for failure. And then, of course, how can someone who has never been included and supported and encouraged and taught, how can they be a better teammate if they don't have, that whole teaching and encouragement and, advocacy for that? So it definitely does affect the teamwork as well.
And
Um,
patient care too.
yeah, it definitely does affect them. So, our nurses are, we expect them to have a very well-rounded career. And without that, someone's coming to work, like you said, I've been there as well, where they're
Mm,
coming to work and they're not at their best. They're actually, their mind is on something else, like, okay, how can I make it through the shift? How can I, just make it with this person that's sitting next to me that I know is not going to help me or is going to belittle me or be condescending to me? They're not at their best. And
mm-mm.
so it's definitely going to affect them and their careers and their burnout. People have left the role of nursing. People have left teams. People have left their passions to go to something else because it has been that acute for them every time they go, or even just subtly, just the subtle things that occur.
That's
Um,
right.
those types of things, it affects them, and they come to work sad and maybe teary, and they live there teary and sad, and they go home. And so it affects them in a great way. How can you be there to be the best for your patient if you yourself are not being cared for and, positively approached by your colleagues, positively
Mm,
helped by your colleagues?
yeah. So, did your research reveal any connection between bullying and nurse burnout or even turnover? And how significant was that impact?
Absolutely. It is definitely has it affects turnover.
Mm.
Um, it
And then
affected
burnout too.
and burnout as well. Nurses back then were, still just when I was doing my research, still just as, burnout then as they are today. Today, we're talking about wellness in ways that we've never talked about wellness because people are now are saying, I deserve to have my wellness because they
Mm.
realize that, this is happening, this is going on. Turnover absolutely affected by bullying. Bullying, no one's going to stay in there. I think that in that particular environment, you're going to have nurses that are they're looking for whatever is going to be a positive environment. And so, the fields that they felt like that was their passion or where they wanted to be, they're not going to stay in that environment. They're either going to move to go to something else or they're going to move to go to another place that has that particular department for them. I've seen nurses leave because the providers have been so mean and talk down to them and talk about them at the desk with other people. With them, they're looking. And so
Mm.
I'm just going to have to go. I can't take it any longer. They're embarrassed. They are, and if we don't stand up, then of course, we're encouraging that. What we permit, we promote. And so I've seen some that are saying, I just want to go to another area that's a little bit more peaceful. Some of them have gone to try outpatient, so we're having quite a bit of turnover based on these very difficult cultures that we have in some places. And sometimes, they find the right thing for them. But it shouldn't be because we have basically bullied them out. It
Hmm.
shouldn't be that.
I mean, when you're saying this, I'm like having flashbacks, It's it's really a sad experience, especially when you said something about talking about the person. You might be standing there and you hear them talking about you, giggling and using eyes to talk, But I mean, it is what it is. The bad thing is that when it happens, like you said, it's something that nobody talks about, but it's there and it's not being addressed. So,
Yeah.
what practical strategies or leadership intervention have you found most effective in reducing the bullying and improving workplace culture?
Yeah. We talked about some of them.
Yes,
Be
you did.
decisive. Take it to your leaders. If someone's afraid, if you're afraid to speak it out yourself, find someone who's not and that who will keep your confidence and take it to someone who's going to do something about it. And leaders have to be brave as well to say, here's what I will accept and here's what I won't accept.
Hmm.
Um, and tackle it head on. There's lots of literature out there. There are lots of ways to include the people on the unit.
Hmm.
Um, Make sure that that's one of the things that you champion as a leader. But I think if you can find your wings and just say, I deserve more, I deserve better, here's what I want, here's what I need, and you can bring that to your leaders, speak up for yourself and speak out and gather those. If it's happening to you, I guarantee you it's more than likely happening to someone else. Find those people, just like in my research, those nurses would go to see who's on shift that night. They would know.
Hmm.
They'd also find who was a friend and who they could. So find those people, and you all band together and say, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take it to leadership, and we're going to do something about it because we want our unit to thrive. We want our unit to be positive. We want our team to work together as a really high functioning team, and we can't have that." If we have someone that's bringing down the team or not acting as they should be. And I'm not afraid of calling people out. We have to do that sometimes, bring them in a professional way and say, this is probably not what you want people to think about you, but this is definitely how people perceive you. And so give me your word and some steps on how you plan to avert that and never do that again. So, I think that's some of the things that, we have to do, name it like, we've talked about, but we as leaders have to be the one to take the reins of it and say no more of it, and just speak up for those of us that have it has happened to. And for those who we know, we see it happening to, stop it in its tracks, right then and there, and continue to do that and not allow it.
Before you said for those of us that have been through it, for someone that have never experienced that, they don't get it. They don't. And for such person, they won't know what to do to nip it on the bud, but it is what it is. The reason why I have this show is to create awareness about burnout and several things that lead to burnout. And I'm glad we're talking about it. And someone listening, if you're facing this kind of experience at work, just know, just be empowered to know what to do to take charge. So, Dr. Henderson, what message will you share with nurses who are currently facing bullying but feel powerless to speak up or make a change?
We are with you. Chichi's
Mhm.
about it. She's giving you the steps. Just be brave enough to just take one step.
One step.
Brave enough to reach out to someone who cares. That is something that is very important. Just take that one step and say that I'm going to give myself the ability to promote myself, to give myself that one little gift of uh, having somebody to support me. And then you get braver and braver, and then you're able to do that. There's steps right now, those of you who may not want to speak up, it seems like it's a vast, hard thing to do. But one thing is that you can say is, I too have been bullied. I
Mhm.
too have been in that position. A lot of us have. I have. Chichi has. So
Mhm.
reach out to someone you trust, someone you know, someone that you really believe that has your back. So reach out to them. And if you can't say it, you can even say, I know many places have anonymous methods to do that. And I know that may be a little difficult because sometimes we think, oh, it's not going to be anonymous. Someone's going to find out. But there are ways that you can do that. Type it up on a piece of paper and give it to your leader. Leave it for a leader while they're not there. There's some way that you can get your voice out there. Make sure that you just have somebody that's on your side. There's somebody that's on your side that can help you with that. And take care of yourself. Get the
Yes,
support, whether
yes,
that's your family support, whether that is support at work. Take care of your own mental wellness, do some things. It's not all about work. You also are a complete human being with, your own hobbies, um, your talents, all of those things. But get some support for that. It is not a weakness to do so.
wow, Dr. Henderson, you just hit it on the head like that. I mean, you broke it down real good, and I pray that somebody that is listening to us speaking will be inspired to take charge of their life. Dr. Henderson, while you're here, I always like to do the rapid fire questions. And I'll say, you talked about your research, talked about introduced, you talked about your bio, your nursing career. If I will ask you, what is that one word to describe your journey so far?
Advocacy.
Advocacy. That's good.
Yes.
I like that. So, tea, coffee, or smoothie? I don't know what you told me the last time.
Tea. I'm a
Tea.
tea girl.
Did I ask you what kind of tea?
I don't think so. Oh, you might have, but anything herbal.
Oh, but okay, okay. So, favorite quote or scripture that inspires you?
Oh, goodness. There are so many, and I see them daily. Oh, my goodness. There's some really great ones. Um, Goodness. Rapid fire. Not going to be so rapid fire with this question. Um, when people show you who they are, believe them.
When people show you who they are, believe them. Sometimes we're in doubt too. Like,
Yeah,
is it really true? Am I seeing the right thing?
I
But
think
when
other
they
people
see who
see
they
it.
are, them,
That's right. But I also will say one that I have told myself is I am enough.
I am enough. I like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it goes with whatever we've just talked about. I am enough. When somebody tells you you're not enough, tell yourself, I am enough. I like that. I like that. I'm going to take that one. So, what's your favorite outdoor or wellness activity? I know you like to take walks, right?
I love to read.
That's indoor.
Yeah, that's indoor. Let's see. I do like to take walks, and I will tell you sometimes just sitting outside
Mm.
is powerful because it is so soothing and peaceful, and you use all of your senses. You hear things that you may not have ever, you might not have heard if you were rushing and busy and whatever, you can hear squirrels that are frolicking in the leaves or the chirping of the birds or just simple things, the wind. There have been, you may see how the sunlight shines through the trees, just such. Those are things that I believe are God's miracles once we can get quiet. And then, that also gives us power as well. I too am one, just like you, about scripture. And, God does give us a purpose, but He's given us power and love and a sound mind.
On
So,
mine.
yes.
You're
Yeah.
talking about all that, staying outside and just listening. And I'm thinking, and also smelling the roses.
Yes, absolutely.
So, what is that one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Oh, know that you are great and you're going to do great things. Just keep going, keep learning. My favorite question is why. I think back then I would have just continued to, frame my career around continue to ask why. But just rest in the that God has my career in his hands and gonna keep doing greater things, at every turn. God has really blessed me to be able to do some wonderful things. And just when I think that, okay, this is wonderful, he gives me something greater. And I'm
Oh,
just so
that's
blessed,
good.
so thankful. So I think that that would have been, back then I was just, so driven and rushing and trying to do it all, which in a way is good. My grandfather would say work while it's day. But just know I would have told myself, yeah, this is, you're going to do great things. And I consider myself being able to do great things because I surround myself with people, with great people like you, Chichi.
Well, I'll say I will be the one to say that I surround myself with great people like you. But it's amazing. I am so excited you came and
Yeah,
such a short notice, but you made it. And I want to
absolutely.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You've talked about, when I was going through all your accolades, which usually excites me, I said something about being a nurse executive consultant. Please, what does that mean? What do
Yes.
you, the nurse executive consultant?
Yes, absolutely. I have held the many roles that you talked about, which sometimes makes me tired even listening to it. But every last one of them was energized and energetic, and it led me to where I am now. I do consulting work for hospitals. I'm the CEO of Assist Enterprise, and
Wow.
you can reach me at admin at assistenterprise.org. But I affect maternal outcomes by giving you the consultation that you need for all of your women's services departments
Wow.
and some education as well. So I can come in and take a look at anything you need, all your initiatives, help you to increase your metrics. I am definitely the evidence-based girl. So I definitely will get in there and determine if you're, using the best evidence. Look at policies and procedures and culture, like we were talking about, make sure your culture is healthy with your nurses, but also with your other departments and your providers. And
Wow.
write up a really nice summary and then help you to carry that out. And we give you the tools to help you to carry it out. It's not as hard as you would think, but you do have to make some very targeted steps towards doing that. So in my years of experience, I definitely can help you with that. So now that's what I'm doing. I go state to state and I just help people to because I want disparities to be just zero.
Mhm.
I want maternal disparities to be zero. I want neonatal disparities to be zero. And so that's what my passion, my heart is now, given all
Mhm.
the things that I've seen and done.
Wow. Wow. Can you repeat that website again or email?
Yes, it's assistenterprise.org. And you can reach me at admin dot admin at assistenterprise.org.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much. Another thing that I want to find out, is it just for hospitals? Do you do that for like home health agencies or different facilities?
So I started out mainly doing it for women's services or maternal child health. That has been my background. But recently I have really expanded because a lot of people want to know what's going on with their other units. So I've really expanded to whole hospitals and other facilities, outpatient
Wow.
facilities, mental health facilities. I've worked with some ORs,
Mm.
lots of different departments because they need to be just as healthy and thriving and have outcomes as, that guiding light for them as well.
Mhm.
So yes, Assist Enterprise is definitely the one you want to call for a consultation.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. Wow, this is inspiring. You're making me to start thinking about something positive for my.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for sharing, okay? Listener reflection prompt that I always like to do, and that would be, you know, to ask anyone listening, how do you manage your stress and burnout? So, what personal passions or hobbies could you embrace more intentionally to create balance and joy? I hope you tell yourself that you are wonderfully and powerfully made or beautifully made by God. So think about whether financial or professional obligations has ever kept you in an environment that contributed to your burnout. So what financial habits or plans could you put in place today to give yourself a freedom to make healthier choices? You know, Dr. Henderson just shared the information that she got from her research or her findings, and she's encouraged you. And I want you to share this episode with your friends, with your family, with your co-workers. And don't forget to subscribe to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi for more inspiring conversation about resilience, leadership, and purpose. Thank you so much, Dr. Henderson, for coming to the show. Your story reminds us that burnout doesn't have to define us, it can refine us. So, through resilience, balance, and faith, we can take charge of our journey and find renewal. And then also remember, you too can take charge of your health, your career, and future. Your setback do not define you. With courage and vision, you can take charge of your health, your career, and your future. Burnout is not your identity. You are not alone. You are created for more peace, more power, more purpose. You have the power to rewrite your story. Don't settle. Take charge because your future starts now. Your well-being matters. Your purpose is too valuable to be burned out. Okay? Until next time, take charge and bye.
Take Charge with Dr. Chichi is a brand of Sparkling Star Development Strategies LLC. The information provided is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or medical advice. Financial services are offered independently by Dr. Chichi in accordance with applicable licensing and regulatory standards. Thank you for watching.